to Getting you welcome to another edition of Fightnwords on the Fightnwords News Network. Fightnwords is brought to you each and every night of the week in grateful appreciation to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, the men and women of police and fire service, the doctors and nurses and first responders, and also those wonderful people in the supermarket to keep those shelves stocked. Before we get into tonight's broadcast, this last week we lost 7 police officers and 2 deputies that were ambushed and almost killed. This seems to be a trend, and if you're out there and you see somebody in uniform, please let them know that you have faith in them. Please let them know that you worry about them. This is very, very tough times for people in uniform. To Deputy Yee and Mike Wilson from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, brothers, we're right behind you. Anytime you need anything, you let us know. If there's a benefit, we'll absolutely broadcast it for you. How you doing tonight, Caden?
I'm feeling good. Feeling good. Just watched got done watching the World Cup final. Feeling good.
I went to the soccer game and I saw, went to a fight and a soccer game broke out. I've never seen anything that physical in all the time I've watched soccer.
Yeah, man, it was a good game. Argentina, they kind of got to play that aggressive brand of football, just because they're at a little bit of a skill disadvantage. So I feel like in those big games, man, you got to play gritty football. Really got to set the tone, and that's what they were doing.
Yeah, the one thing that really surprised me was that the Martinez red card.
So the reason for that, for any of the new fans in America getting into soccer, that was an obvious yellow card. There was no doubt about that. He literally destroyed Kubarsi. He ran right into him. He destroyed him. But it wasn't. That's not a straight red, right?
Right.
He was already on a yellow card. 2 yellow cards makes a red. So there you go.
Okay. Well, I think Mr. Brady's getting ready to come on. Just so everybody know, we're missing one of our important members of the group tonight, Tony. Tony's wife is back in the hospital and in very serious condition. So we would ask that if any of you out there say prayers, if they would just say a prayer for Amy. And if not, just keep a good thought for her. This is a very, very tough time for Tony to go through. Good evening, Mr. Brady. How are you tonight?
Hello. Doing well. How's everybody here?
Good. We were just talking about Caden's going to break down RAF for us.
Okay. So this organization has come up through the woodworks in the past. I don't know, like 2-3 years. It's been going on, kind of at a bigger stage, and this last year has really skyrocketed with the addition of guys like Kobe Covington and Mansur Yukon, and Islam Makhachev had a fight in there. Kamaru Usman had some wrestling matches in there. Bo Nickel, Hamzat Chimaev, you name it. These UFC fighters are going in there and getting back to the roots, which you gotta love. And it's also just a great. We talk about this all the time whenever we bring up RAF. It's just a great podium for the college wrestlers who maybe can't make it in any of the MMAs or they just don't want to. And RAF is just an excellent thing for those wrestlers. Finally a big stage other than MMA, where finally a big stage for these wrestlers where they don't have to get punched in the face or kicked,
Right.
Where they can just do their own thing, and that's what's beautiful about it. And one of the some of the stuff you're going to be hearing out of there recently is, in my opinion, I think it's the second biggest upset of 2026 in combat sports. and that is Kobe Covington beating Arman Tsarukyan.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that the talent was really in question for Kobe Covington. We were talking about that a little bit off mic. You know, Kobe Covington was able to wrestle with Kamaru Usman until, you know, he eventually got his head kicked in and punched in by Kamaru in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, before then, he was absolutely holding his own in grappling against Kamaru Usman, and he used his grappling to get onto that championship stage multiple times. And he actually appeared in not one but two NCAA division fights. Sadly, you know, he lost both of them, but he was there. So you really can't discredit the dude's wrestling. But Tsarukyan is an animal. And he not only is he young, but he's doing it against champions right now. You know, right now he's doing it against championship level fighters in the UFC. And Kobe Covington isn't. And I think that's where the real upset comes into play is, you know, Kobe Covington is, I think he's 38, 39 years old now. And, you know, Tsarukyan is like 26, 27. You know, so, and in the way that the dude moves and the way that he's been attacking and just blazing through the ranks, really, in RAF, he looks unbeatable. And he goes up against Kobe Covington, and, man, it was just containing the fire. Containing the fire all night from Covington. He just didn't let Tsarukyan do anything that was too aggressive, or he just didn't let him settle into the match and really just consumed Tsarukyan in all of his attacks. Man, it was some great wrestling by Kobe Covington. Now, does this hit at a return to UFC for Kobe? I doubt it. If anything, I think this means more RAF time for the guy.
Brady, we're talking about Kobe Covington, and he got Tsarukyan last night, but now next month, that's a fast recovery. He's going to go against Bilal Muhammad on August 22nd on RAF. What's your thoughts?
I think, honestly, for me, I think, you know, Payton did cover pretty much there that Tsarukyan was just, you know, tearing through people in RAF before he got beat by Covington. I didn't watch that, but I think I'm going to have to side with Covington on this one just because, you know, Tsarukyan was just so dominant in RAF before, you know, that fight. And I don't know. I don't think Bilal Muhammad just fought or wrestled Ben Askren. So,
right.
You know, you got to look at the gap in you know, in skill between, you know, a guy like Ben Askren who just had a, you know, he almost died, you know, a year ago. So I think you got to look at something like that where it's kind of like a charity match rather than, you know, two high-level athletes going at it, you know, with a champion like Covington and Tsarukyan.
What's your thoughts, Caden? Covington, Bilal.
You know, I think it's hard to have two perfect nights, right? And he's going to have another perfect night if he's going to go out there and out-wrestle Bilal Muhammad, you know? And you can say that about Bilal Muhammad, and you can say that about Ben Askren. But hey, man, Ben Askren's potentially, pound for pound, one of the best pure wrestlers that the UFC has ever seen, okay? And that's a fact. Put that on the cracker, dude.
Okay.
And you know, I think it's going to be tough for Kobe Covington. I don't think it's going to be clear cut, just like the Tsarukyan one is. If he's going to win that fight, it's going to be a battle. And Bilal Muhammad is a very technical, very skilled wrestler. So that one, I'm kind of undecided because I don't watch enough of it to say who I really think is going to win. I only know these guys from their time in the UFC, except I did see, I went back and was able to find the Kobe Covington versus Tsarukyan match. And, man, he had a perfect night. And like I said before, it's hard to have two perfect nights in a row, but if you can, I think it'll be a lot easier to do it against Bilal Muhammad than Arman Sayukin.
Okay. All right. Let's just take a second here while we're waiting for Z to come on. Caden, take us back towards your memory of the best UFC fight, MMA fight that you've seen.
That's I think I got a couple. I got two that are staring me in the face. I got three, man. Wow. I'd say Gaethje Holloway. The one where, obviously the famous point down, 10 seconds left, Holloway slumps him in the last second. And before that, that whole fight was crazy. And I'm also going to have to say Gaethje versus Chandler. Gaethje versus Chandler was a great one. Brian Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovski was a great one. And here's a niche one. One of my favorite fights. Those were all great fights, right? Some of the greatest fights of the last recent memory. Those are the greatest fights of my recent memory. One of the best fights, one of the most entertaining fights I've ever seen in my life is Nate Landwehr versus David Onama. It was a co-main back in 2021, 2022. Man, if I have been searching for that fight. If anybody has that fight, man, I just cannot find it for the life of me. I can't even pirate it. I can't find it anywhere. That is one of the most exciting, one of the funnest fights I've ever seen in my life. But those first three would have to be like my serious greatest fights that I've ever witnessed. Which I know last show, Tony and G were talking about their greatest fights, and I know these fights don't even scratch those, but that's just what I've seen, and those are my favorites and what I think are the best that I've ever seen.
Okay. Brady?
Yeah, I agree with Caden for Holloway and Gaethje. I think that was definitely one of my favorites I've ever watched. It was just, there was everything in that fight. I mean, you saw, a guy, Max Holloway, he controlled the fight, I think, pretty much the whole time, but still, well, I'm not going to say that. He controlled the fight, I'd say, but
he lost a round.
Yeah, and I mean, Gaethje got his nose broken in the first round, I think at the end with a little spinning kick. But another fight I'd like to highlight is Gaethje Oliveira. That was a great fight as well. Both guys got dropped multiple times, and I think Oliveira finished that with a submission, or maybe it was a knockout. I'm not sure, but I always like watching Oliveira when he was in his prime on that run. Where he fought Poirier. I think those were just great fights because you saw everything. The guy would get dropped and then get right back up and finish the fight most of the time. The next round or the round after or last the whole fight. And his striking was there. He had these unorthodox elbows and his kicks and knees and even his leg kicks. Everything was really on point with Oliveira after he got rocked. So I always like those fights.
Okay. Caden, I know Khabib is one of your favorite fighters. He claims that a deal that he just worked out with Dana is going to have him set for life. Do you have any idea on what that is?
I would imagine some sort of partnership of some sorts. Everyone knows that he's not going to come back and fight again. I don't know. I don't know what that could really mean. I mean, Lord knows he's set for life just because he's coaching Islam too.
Yeah, put you right in.
Some sort of partnership.
All right. Yeah, I wonder if that would be he's going to run UFC and Dana's going to go over now and do Zufo. Hey guys, we're joined by the illustrious boxing coach, Mr. Z. Z, how you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Nice to join you, John. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great.
Uh,
Yeah. Z, we're just asking, just as a background, the best fight of the year that you had seen.
Boxing or
Boxing.
MMA?
Now do both if you want.
Well, right now, I can't lie. That fight I just saw with Harlem Eubank and I forgot the guy's name. That fight just happened last night. That or yesterday was amazing to me. So you see guys with higher skill to a degree, but just for pure excitement and stuff, I like that fight. Got to talk about the Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois fight.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk about that.
Okay.
There are a few other fights, but actually, it's been pretty competitive this year so far.
Mm-hmm. What do you want to say about the Dubois fight?
Oh my goodness! As far as the fight of the year, that was a tremendous fight. Actually, I would like to see that fight again, but just those two guys, they went out there, especially Fabio Wardley, just to kind of show the heart that he did with his face destroyed. But he still was there, still swinging hard, still had confidence in his power.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as I said, these two guys, they show heart and skill. So, and as I said, I would like to see that one again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to keep you right on the soapbox. Joe Joyce seems to be having a free fall after this last loss. Do you have any idea why?
I didn't happen to see it, but Joe Joyce said a while ago that he probably took the second fight with Big Bang Zhang a little too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I, to a degree, I agree with him. But at the same time, Joe Joyce is the kind of guy to where wouldn't be sure if his style would have lasted anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And just to say that, Joe Joyce is a guy he's a mountain level fighter. But mountains aren't really quick twitch and defensive.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in the heavyweight division, you don't want to take shots clean like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chin, but everyone is a heavyweight division. I mean, guys, that's the hardest thing in the division.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't run into these fights and go to these fights expecting that I'm going to eat these punches to get my. You have to develop some sort of defensive skill, some sort of awareness to what's coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
And at times, Joe Joyce, he's a guy to where he's a mountain. He's going to come at you. You hit him, he's going to hit you harder. He's going to be there in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Pressure guy. And a pressure guy, they have to, to be successful to the upper echelon, you have to not get hit clean.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as a pressure guy, especially when you're coming forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I say, not to knock Joe Joyce's style or anything, the guy's tremendous heart and toughness and armor. But armor can only last as long as you don't keep getting hit, especially in the same spot. And eventually, once the nut cracks, it's hard to get that back.
Mm-hmm.
So after devastating knockouts, I mean, you're more susceptible to get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, credit to Joe Joyce, for lasting this long doing what he's doing. But as a heavyweight fighter, you cannot go, face first in everything.
Okay. Okay. Hey, Caden, Brandon Moreno and Joseph Morales.
I think it's a great fight for Morales in terms of stepping up in the division, but it is definitely a step down for Moreno. I don't know exactly how old Moreno is now, but I remember last time he fought, he was like 37. He has to be at least 38 now. I think it's been over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows, man. And he has the style of, doing quick acrobatic movements and getting in close. And he thrives on the quick twitch, man. He thrives on it. Just that, in and out, boom, he's right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the first things that tends to go with age, especially with guys who fight like that.
And he's a dude who's had knee injuries before. And, man, it just – every time he fights, the miles add up, and it shows. It really does. And I think the fact that he's still fighting quality opponents like Michael Morales shows that, the skill is still there and the ambition is still there. But I think we have to be realistic. I don't know if this dude's going to go up there and make another run for UFC gold, especially when, the top of that division is dominated by Pantoja and Van and Tyra and all these great fighters. I just don't think it's very likely. I don't really think it's that likely that he wins this fight. I think Michael Morales is a very tough opponent, very strong opponent. And, man, he's going to keep it. Morales got that great takedown defense, and he's going to keep us on. He's going to keep this fight on the feet, and that's not where Moreno wants to be. And I don't think it'll be a fun night for Moreno, but Morales, he can get a good win here. Then we're moving up. We're talking about maybe he gets a fight with Tyra, and that could turn into a fight against the champ. Who knows? But a lot of opportunity for whoever wins this fight.
Okay. Z, Andy Cruz, and Damian Caba. I'm sorry, Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, okay. Would like to see Andy Ruiz after. Last time I saw Andy Ruiz, he was in the tough fight against Gerald Miller, Big Baby Miller. And this would be more like I guess a stay busy fight for Andy Ruiz. More, I don't want to say a tune-up, just a stay busy fight. But right now, it's going to be interesting just to see where Andy Ruiz is in his career. He's a guy that we know, he can compete at the top level. But recently, I don't want to say dedication, but maybe we're sharing a ceiling to a degree with Andy Ruiz. Or maybe age is catching up. I don't know. But Andy Ruiz seems to me, he's maybe conditionally, he doesn't seem to be there. He never was a gas engine. But at the same time, Ruiz, right now, he seems to be fighting maybe half the fight. Not at times he has lulls in his action. He's always strictly looking for the counter, and he's usually getting out a lot of times. And as I said, it's going to be interesting to see his method state coming back. Okay.
Brady, Gable Stevenson and Josh Hoskett have some kind of a feud. Do you know what it is?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about this, but I think Gable needs to have a couple more fights in the UFC before he starts calling out a contender like Hockett, especially guys dangerous as Hockett. Not saying I don't think Gable has what it takes to beat him, but I think he definitely needs some more time and some better opponents before you throw him up against a guy that's vying for that title.
Okay. Let's see. Anthony Joshua and Kristen Prenga.
Yeah, that's coming up, and that to me, I'm glad Anthony Joshua is taking a guy right now who's more seasoned at boxing. He's had 2 fights, and really Ngannou and Paul. And being into those 2 fights, he hasn't really been busy. And I would like to see Anthony Joshua a little busier, especially if you're talking about matching him up against Tyson Fury. I would like to see him quite a bit more busier than Tyson Fury. That would be his advantage to me. But I'm glad to see Joshua coming back fighting a accredited boxer, and I expect him to win. But it also is going to be interesting to see where his mental state is after some time off and fighting guys who aren't at the top level of boxing.
All right. If you had to set something up, well, we got Joshua in a couple of weeks, but if you had to set something up for the next fight for Joshua after his Fury fight? What do you think? Who would you pick?
It really depends how his Fury fight goes. If he beats Fury, then I'm looking for him to fight somebody else. Maybe somebody credible. Maybe I don't want to put a tumor out there yet, but you're gonna want to put him maybe a rematch against. Well, I would actually pick a rematch with him against Daniel Dubois. I think that he would fight back, but it all hinges on how he does in the Fury fight. And maybe he. No, you never know. You never know. I mean, he can retire for all I know. So it's yet to be seen. But as I say, I want to see him in this fight first, and then if he does what I expect him to do in this fight, we're going to see him against Fury.
Okay. Caden, Mario Batista, and Corey Sandhagen.
That was one that just happened, right? I didn't see the fight. I know. I think Sandhagen won, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, I didn't see the fight. I remember seeing the aftermath of it. I believe I was at work for that one. But yeah, man, if Sandhagen can string together some wins, there's no question why he shouldn't be fighting some top contenders. Like maybe a fight with Sean O'Malley gets lined up here soon. I don't think that would be a bad one. Sandhagen versus O'Malley.
What do you think, Brady?
Yeah, I agree with Caden.
Okay. That was a short one. Z. Edgar Berlanger and Stephen Butler.
I'm a lean to a Berlanger, but I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't pull this one. Stephen Butler's a pretty good fighter, but Berlanger has fought better competition, and that will be my edge for him. But Stephen Butler can outbox Berlanger. Berlanger is a guy who he wants you in front of him, and he wants you in front of him a specific way. And Stephen Butler has the potential not to provide that for him. Can he do it consistently? That's what can be seen, but I'm going to lean to a Berlanger.
Okay. Let's go back to Brady. Tom Aspinall says he's ready to fight. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not in his camp and stuff like that, but I'm always ready to watch an Aspinall fight, especially, you got Gon back, in that championship speech. So I want to see how that fight really is going to play out. I think Gon looked sharp in the last meeting, and I know Cade may not like me saying that, but I think he did look sharp. And is he going to win? Am I going to? If I was a betting man, I would still bet on Aspinall. I like him a little better. I think he's a better fighter than Gon. But the way we saw Gon against Alex Pereira, he looked like a different beast. So, if he's been in that lab and he's been working hard, I could definitely see him taking out Aspinall. But I think that fight happens, and then possibly Hogan gets a title shot. So, you also got his name, Acosta, Waldo Cortez Acosta. You got him in that division too now. So I definitely like how the heavyweight division's shaping up, especially with our guy Tom Aspinall coming back.
Okay. What do you think, Caden?
I tell you what, when you say Aspinall's ready,
Yeah,
man, he better be, because Cyril Gane is locked and loaded. Man, he looked unbeatable against Alex Pereira. Y'all know how I feel about Tom Aspinall. He's my favorite fighter in the UFC.
right.
I think without a doubt, he's got the skills to go out there and get that fight done. But if that fight works out to what I think it should be, man, that's fight of the year. That's fight of the year right there, man. No doubt in my mind. But
Mhm.
whoever comes out on top is going to have to fight through hell to get there.
Mhm.
Because, like Brady said, Cyril Gane against Alex Pereira, he looked otherworldly, man. He was extremely sharp. Now, I will say this. Pereira looked slow. He looked slow. He didn't look sharp at all in that fight against Gane.
Mhm.
But he was able to do all of that still against Alex Pereira. And that's, you can't select that at all.
Mhm.
Now, their first fight, Gane versus Aspinall, ended in the eye poke. And before that fight, man, Gane was good as well. I'm not going to say there was a winner or a loser in the 1 minute that the fight went on. But Gane was good. So Tom's going to have to bring his A game. But I still think he gets it done now. But he's going to have to come ready.
Okay. Z, Sergey Devinchenko and Jack Hokett at 160.
Yeah, Gilbertenko's the name that I didn't think I'd be hearing too much more.
Mhm.
He's a bit older in the tooth. Very good fighter, very fundamentally good fighter.
Mhm.
But as I said, he's a little older, and I have to see what he has left.
Okay. See, you're talking. Let's go back here just a second. These guys all have to get into a camp, and you've done a lot of that. Can you break down what a camp would be for, say, Devinchenko?
The first thing you want to worry about is weight. Make sure that when you go into the camp, you're taking your weight into consideration. How you're putting your weight on, how you're keeping the weight, how you're training with the weight. But outside of that, you're just trying to keep sharp. You don't want to put too much physical hurt on the guy, but you want to keep him sharp. Keep him sparring. Different levels, different people, definitely different looks, especially the look that you know you're getting. If I know I'm getting a guy who does this, I do want to see quite a bit of that. If a guy likes to jab up there on the outside, I need to see that in sparring. I need to see that in training. I need to also be prepared for trench warfare, toe-to-toe fighting. You want a guy to be overall prepared, but especially with a pro game, you want to look for things that you're going to have to deal with certain people. Fighters don't look at film. A lot of fighters might not look at film, but the trainers do. So you have to work with a guy with that. But outside of that, you want to keep them relatively healthy, relatively sharp, and their weight manageable. Definitely manageable. Me, I prefer not to have a guy too much overweight. Meaning, I don't want a guy. I don't want a guy to be walking around 50 pounds overweight, and you have to worry all camp about cutting the weight. That takes away from the other aspects that you need in camp to me. But outside of that, you really want a guy just prepared mentally prepared and focused on what he's going to have to do and what he might face. Mental preparation is everything. So you want a guy locked in and focused.
Now,
that's most important.
Do you incorporate film, make him watch film?
That to me would be up to the fighter. That's more on the trainer. Just because whatever you do looking at on film, you're going to want to incorporate that into what you're doing. And that's more on the trainer. Just to be honest, that's more on the trainer. You don't want to fight even with the film, fighters, it can be advantageous to fighters, but at the same time, you're still going to have to do certain things that all fighters have to deal with. You're going to have to deal with a jab. You're going to have to deal with maybe a guy's speed, maybe a guy's rangier than you. So you have to navigate certain things. A guy may be a better inside fighter than you. A guy could just flat out hit hard. So you have to navigate a lot of things in camp and get the guy prepared for everything. For the most part, get prepared for everything. But the first thing you really kind of want to deal with, and you want to keep in the back of your mind, is the weight. You want to kind of make sure that a guy is doing his weight properly, his strength is still there, his speed, his sharpness is still there according to the weight.
Okay. Caden, Khalil Roundtree all of a sudden has come up with an injury and can't fight. Gazov. What's your thoughts on that one?
He's gonna fight Ankalaev, or he was supposed to. I guess I didn't hear about this.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's, I don't know if anyone's gonna step in that fight against Ankalaev. I believe. I mean, that's less than a week from now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if they have a replacement fighter. Then that's the guy who I'd imagine will fight, because I mean it's less than a week, but I've seen shorter. You know, I've seen guys take a fight shorter. So I wouldn't doubt that someone would step in. Although you do need someone of quality who's ready to fight a championship level fighter,
Mm-hmm.
like Ankalaev is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this one. That's a shame for Roundtree.
Okay. Brady, what's your thoughts on an Ankalaev fight?
I'm not sure who who the replacement's going to be, like Kate said, but I think I would have picked Ankalaev, and as much as I like Roundtree and his style, and his grit,
Mm-hmm.
I think Ankalaev would have kind of just used that wrestling style. But then again, he didn't really use that against Pereira. His fight, Ankalaev's fights have really been, this is my opinion, kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how he would have really handled Roundtree's striking, if he's kind of a prolific striker like Pereira was. So,
Mm-hmm.
We'll see who's next. Maybe it's Yuri, maybe someone like that. I'm not really too sure.
Okay. Z, Shakar Stevens has signed with Zufo Boxing. Is that good, bad, or ugly?
It has the potential to be all today, to be honest. More for Shakur, it looks to be financially more lucrative for him.
Mm-hmm.
So good with that. Good for Zupa Boxing. They have a big name. Maybe it'll attract more fighters.
Mm-hmm.
It could be bad, just because you may be locking Shakur into not getting many opportunities at his weight class. He might have to fluctuate weight to get certain fights. And that might go for the other fighters with Zufa.
Mm-hmm.
And that will lead to the ugly,
Mm-hmm.
which would be the promotion of Zufa. And that, as we see, it's Zufa right now starting out sort of in that promotional warrior state,
Mm-hmm.
where everything is negotiable, everything negotiated is a hard line, and that we have to see how that works out with the other promotion.
Mm-hmm.
This is Dana White coming into the boxing promotion. If I'm correct, him and Kirk Alashik.
Mm-hmm.
And boxing has sort of a traditional promoter rule.
Mm-hmm.
And these are boxing promoters. These guys like Tom Arum and Don King. I mean, even Eddie Hearn and Al Heyman. These guys have been in boxing for years.
Mm-hmm.
They have fighters that can match up to a degree with each other, or they can work with even Golden Boy. They can work together when it comes to certain fights to liquidate fights.
Mm-hmm.
It is yet to be known that Zupa can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And even within boxing promotion, you still see that these guys have problems matching up with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, Brady, let me ask you a question. Do you think, take your little crystal ball out, do you think that Makachev and Holloway will ever be matched?
Never.
Ooh.
Ever. Never. I just don't think. I mean, yeah, we just saw Holloway fight at 170, but I think that was a rare case, just because of McGregor, coming back and all, and his first fight back. But I think that Holloway, obviously, I think we saw him, in the lower division. We saw him at 45, and now he's at 55, and he's had great fights at 55. So, jumping to 70, I think would just be
irrational for him, and I think that Makhachev would absolutely dominate him.
Okay. What do you think, Caden?
Man, I agree with Brady. We see the talent in Max Holloway. You know, we really do. We've seen it across his whole career, and you can say, you know, objectively, Max Holloway is a better fighter pound for pound than a lot of these dudes in the welterweight division. You know, most of them, I would say he's better than.
Okay.
Even if he were to go up and be the same weight as these dudes, though, you know, Z could go on for hours about how much these pounds matter, okay? And they matter. Boy, do they matter. If he were to stay at 170, not only would Islam kick his ass, but almost all the dudes in that top division would be on his head. You know, he's not in that position to go and move up to 170. He looked awkward at 170, and he didn't even throw a punch. You know what I mean? Now, with that being said, him against Makhachev at lightweight, maybe that was a possibility before. But even now, I don't even think that Holloway is going to breach that top three and get into another title position, man. Those guys at the top are so talented. And maybe a couple of years ago, I would say absolutely. You know, Max is on top of the world, absolutely. Right. But he's been knocked out since then, brutally. you know? And you still got these killers at the top of the division. Maybe he gets back up there and fights for a lightweight title again. But man, I wouldn't like to see him in the cage with Ilia Topuria again. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't want to see that, and I don't think he wants to see that either. But I don't think a fight with Makhachev is going to be possible now.
Okay. Z, Pacquiao stopped Aleem last night in 11. What's your thoughts?
Oh, I didn't see that one. Might have to go over that one again.
Okay. All right. He did win. Really tore him up, and they finally stopped the fight in the 11th round. Using your crystal ball, Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez, would that work or not?
No, weight differences. Canelo's a little too big right now. Canelo's not moving down.
Okay. Let's go over Caden, Charles Johnson, and Joseph Ochoa, 330.
Who?
Let me see here. Charles Johnson, and Jose Ochoa.
I don't fighters, I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's go back here and get you then. Michael Bennett Page is returning to middleweight. What's your thoughts?
I think it's great to see him back in the sport. I figured he'd stick around. He hasn't looked too bad in the UFC. Do I think he's going to go on and make a run to UFC gold? I doubt it. But does he have some fun, entertaining, ticket-selling fights in his future? I think so. I know Dana White thinks so. And who he's going to fight, I think he's one of those dudes where it's not really a clear-cut thing because he has the name value to go out there and probably get a fight against an opponent that he probably shouldn't fight, you know, a big guy. But he also has, you know, he has the hopefully the experience and knowledge in the game to go out there and know his limits and pick an easier fight to get into because correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen him in the octagon in a year and a half now. I think maybe a year, and he's already like 39. So a realistic comeback into the top of that division is, to me, is completely unrealistic. What I think you should do is collect that paycheck and go get some W's in some fights where he's more inclined to win, which is what I think he should do and what I think he will do.
Okay. Z, what do you think?
I totally agree. You have to be careful with your name value when you're good and you're not to that level anymore. Your name value could get you hurt. So, but still, you're talking about guys who have confidence and who've been doing this, at a high level for years. They've beaten the best of the best. And it's hard to tell a guy that he doesn't have a name value. Especially when he goes through training and he feels good and he thinks he looks good, although he looks good, and the guy's gonna want to test himself and see if he still can be able to be at that money level.
Okay.
And as I said, I have to totally agree that you have to be careful, and you just have to you just wish the guy who takes better fights to where he's not getting hurt, where his level of competition is more evenly matched.
Okay. Brady, Duplessis, and Usman.
Yeah, Kate and I we watched this one together last night. This was a great match, I think that, this was a tough fight. I think, actually, both of these guys are coming off, I think, a brief kind of hiatus, where they hadn't been fighting for a bit. But you definitely saw a very sharp Dreykus in there last night. I think his striking, for the first 2 rounds, I think his striking was the best we've seen. I think that he was quick, and with a guy that wants to get you on the ground like Usman, he was giving up nothing on the ground. He was getting up. It didn't give up a takedown until I think later in the fight, and he was shooting and he stuffed all of his takedowns. That being said, I think Usman was getting his ass kicked through the first couple rounds, and then he came in, and I'm not gonna say I think he won maybe the 4th round, and maybe the 5th, maybe the 5th. That was a very big maybe, but I like to see Usman fighting back in there. It was good to see him, but he got he was getting pressured all fight. I think that he couldn't really find his spacing whenever he tried to get set. Dreykus was always in there with, a knee or, with a couple straight punches. But I think we kind of saw why Dreykus is still, dangerous, especially in this division. It's so open now, especially with Strickland as the champion. And I think that, I want to give a lot of credit to Usman for sticking in there and kept on fighting, because he got rocked multiple times where I thought he was done. And, he kept fighting. So we'll see what his future is in middleweight. But, I don't know if he'll go back down, especially with his age. I was thinking maybe he was retired. So, we'll see what happens with that. But, I could see Dreykus coming back, and especially with this new form he's in, I think he could take this division again.
Wow. That's a good one.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
All right.
Okay. My boy's still in that division, going hard in the paint. Okay. You cannot forget about Hamzat Chimaev. Those 2 guys' last fight were against Hamzat. Okay. Usman looks much better, miles better against Hamzat than Dreykus. Obviously, I didn't mean anything, but I'm just kind of saying that for my own thing, because I like Usman too, and it was hard to see him lose. Man, Dreykus was in the lab. He has been in the lab nonstop. You can tell. After that absolutely humiliating loss that he took from Hamzat Chimaev, where he just got ragdolled for 5 rounds straight, his takedown defense was impeccable. And it wasn't like it was straight technique. He found that
he found out a little cheat code that if you just work the jab and keep the dude on his back foot, he's not going to go in and jump in for the double leg every single time you guys are on the feet. Like, finally, he figured that out.
Mm-hmm.
And the knee and just all the knees and the elbows or the straights, I should say, that Dreyfus was throwing just kept Usman weary of the takedowns all night. He got hit with a big knee in that second round. Honestly, I thought the fight was over. I thought he was going to get knocked out cold. But somehow he wobbles and then straightens himself out and keeps fighting. But after that, man, the takedown attempts from Usman were weak all night. He was not confident in it at all. And it was largely due to Dreyfus' striking, man. It just completely nullified all of the grappling from Kamaru Usman. Now, with that being said, Dreyfus looked a hell of a lot better than he did against Hamzat. And that does, I think that should give his fans and people who back him a lot of hope in terms of him returning back to that UFC gold. But man, don't be afraid when it gets squashed by old boy Hamzat once he gets that title back. Okay, don't be too sad. Don't be surprised either. Okay.
Okay.
But that was a great fight from Dreyfus. All jokes aside.
Okay. Z, Ryan Garcia and Conor Benn, September 12th.
That's going to be interesting. Ryan Garcia looked good the last time I saw against Mario Bell. He was real good. Looked like he added some things in camp that he stuck with and that were real successful. With that said, he still has his Ryan Garcia tendency to a degree. He's a physical phenomenon. He's beginning to pick up more refined boxing technique. I think that will serve him well against Conor Benn. Conor Benn also is a physical, specimen. But he's a dog fighter. He wants to get in there. He wants to land his shots on you. He wants to be explosive on you. In and out guy. Pretty good. Very good offensively. Has dynamicism. With that said, he to me is going to have trouble this fight. I predict him having trouble this fight, and that has a lot to do with the way I think he developed to a degree. I thought light years of him after he fought Eubank. After he fought Eubank the second time. I thought I was looking at he would actually, we have something here. But then I saw him fight against Regis Prograis. And Regis Prograis being a very naturally smaller guy than him. Seeing, Prograis lost, and it was a clean loss, but it wasn't, it was more like a maybe 8-4, 7-5. And to me, it was a lot closer than it should have been. And Regis landed, he looked pretty good offensively. And if Regis Prograis can land like that offensively on you, Ryan Garcia is going to land offensively on you. And that is much more of a problem. And I see, and that I have to see, Conor Benn, I don't see him stopping certain things that Ryan Garcia is going to be doing offensively. And that to me is going to be, sort of a bad style matchup.
Okay. Okay, let's get Brady, Max Holloway, Patty Pembroke. Will it happen?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think that's actually a really good matchup in this division, especially, with how we'll probably see, the rematch with Gaethje and Topuria. So, I think this is definitely lining up to see who could be the next, title contender. Maybe another fight after this, but
I'm gonna go with Max on this one. I think Patty is he is breaking through barriers. He's progressing, quickly, and not quickly, but I think he's progressing and he's getting, a lot better over these past few fights he's had. And I think that his last fight was, it was easy. I mean, we saw how he came in there and just choked Benoit Saint-Denis out easily. So I think that Patty is hungry for that upper echelon of fights, and Max Holloway is the perfect candidate, especially in this 155 division for that. But that being said, I think that Pimblett striking is not on par with Max's, and I think that's pretty obvious for everybody to see. I think Max would definitely have to avoid going to the ground with Pimblett. He does have a ground game, but Pimblett is, that's his expertise. So I'd like to see what Caden and Z think about this one, though.
Caden?
There are a couple fighters throughout the years that I just, no matter what, every time I talk about them, I will praise them for how much they've grown since we saw them first in the UFC. And Patty Pimblett is one of those guys. And when he fought Jared Gordon about 4 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago now, I thought we were looking at just another hype train, just another dude who's good for the cameras, and that's it. Because he won that fight in decision, and really he lost. In my opinion, you go back and you watch that fight, if I'm judging it, I think Patty lost. It was very close, but when I saw that, I kind of counted him out, and I thought that he takes too many punches. He has all these bad things about him that at least that I was nitpicking. And then every single fight since that Jared Gordon fight, he has proven me wrong every single time. And man, I'm done. I tell you what, I'm done being wrong. I don't like it. And these last two fights, when he fought Gaethje and just fought Benoit Saint-Denis, he has something that Max had as well that absolutely bolstered him throughout the bulk of his career. Not only did he have the skill, but he had tempo and he had volume. Man, if you had tempo, volume, and an absolute bulletproof mindset, you can do so much more than your base talent will allow you to do, man. And Patty Pimblett and especially Max Holloway are perfect examples of this. Max is gifted, but he's crazy, man. He's crazy. He'll stay in your face and throw 100 punches and not get tired. And that's just something that got him to the top. And that's something right now that is carrying Patty Pimblett throughout his fights. You see it against Gaethje. No matter how many times he was beaten down in that fight, he was right back in Gaethje's face, bringing the fight to him, and that kept him in it the entire time. And I think in a fight against Max, man, I love Max Holloway. I think I'm going to go Patty Pimblett. My gut's giving me Pimblett. And the guy's grown so much, and he's a great fighter. I just think his tempo and the way he fights will just be too much for Max Holloway. If we're looking at the younger Max, then it's a different story. It's 100% different story. Okay. But although Max fights fire as well, man, you're looking at a fire that's gonna blaze, it's gonna burn the whole house down, man. Man, Patty Pimblett runs rampant, especially when he has that crowd at his back. Sometimes the guy just looks unbeatable, and for that reason, I'm gonna go with Patty Pimblett, especially if that fight takes place in the UK, man. Then there's no doubt in my mind he's winning that one.
Okay. All right. So our last one we got for Mr. Z. What was it? Is Jaime Mongoya a threat to Canelo Alvarez?
No. They fought maybe 2 years ago, if I'm correct.
Uh-huh.
And Canelo, he handled one. Jaime right now, he got this big money fight with Canelo, and he can have different things. I think he's actually moving up,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be interesting to see what he does when he's moving up. What is he, 158?
Yeah.
The super middleweight. And Canelo, he's more around middleweight. Right now he's fighting. Yeah, he's fighting. Oh my goodness. Oh man, but he's fighting him, the guy at 160 for the middleweight fight.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Canelo, he's more comfortable, I think, at 160 later on in his career. And Jaime's a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be interesting because Jaime, we still think about Jaime as that young, spry, long,
Right.
Long reach guy, and he's not that anymore. He's right now he's a little more seasoned, and he's going up against guys who are coming up. So it's interesting to see what Jaime's going to do. If his style, that overwhelming style, can work at this weight.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, guys, that brings us to the end of our hour again. To me, it's just the fastest hour of the week. There's so much content you guys put in this program. I really appreciate it, and I know our fans do too. So let's see. Brady, you want to lead us out?
Yes. I want to thank Caden and G for being very on point and obviously just always doing a great job. I want to thank you, Pop, for pulling us all together and running a great show. And thank you for listening. God bless all you guys and my fans.
Zeke?
Oh, another wonderful show. I want to thank Brady. I want to thank Caden. You guys are definitely on point with the MMA. I want to thank you, Butch, the captain of the ship. These shows are definitely a memory of Bob, Coach Mel, and Dr. Chris. And if anyone wants to hear any fighting words, please do call.
Caden?
Oh, yeah. First, man, I want to say, Tony, you were absolutely missed tonight. Our prayers are with you and your family, and we hope your wife gets better very soon. But with that being said, Brady, Z, you guys bring knowledge that is irreplaceable, and you can't find it anywhere else. And Pop, man, you're the man on the soundboard. You steer our ship straight. I could not think of a better crew to share a Sunday night with. You guys have a great night, and I'll see y'all next time.
Great. And thanks again for everybody for doing a great job. Ladies and gentlemen, these programs are brought to you each and every night of the week in grateful appreciation to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, the men and women police and fire services. When you're out there and you see somebody in uniform, please let them know you know they're there. These are very, very difficult times, as we said before, for police officers, firemen, and the men and women in armed forces. These programs are dedicated to those who lost their lives in the line of duty. Deputy Robert Anthony Carroll, Patrolman David Curtis, Patrolman Jeffrey Colcap, Patrolman Jeffrey Yazowitz, Sergeant Thomas Batinger, San Diego Officer Mike Hendler, Sergeant Tom Wilson, Charlotte County Sheriff's Department, Detective Randy Bell, Detective Ricky Childers, Patrolman Charlie Condit, Tarpon Springs Police Department, Deputy Chief Mike Godwin, Philadelphia Fire Department, Lieutenant Joyce Craig Lewis, Philadelphia Fire Department, Sergeant James O'Connor, Philadelphia Police Department, Sergeant Chris LeVake, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant Mike Zerba, Newcastle County Police, Patrolman Anapa Crispin, Lakeland PD, Deputy Josh Meyer, Nassau County Sheriff's Department, Captain Matt Laterno, Philadelphia Fire Department, Captain Chris Leach, Wilmington Fire Department, Lieutenant Ardith Hope, Wilmington Fire Department, Lieutenant Jerry Ficus, Wilmington Fire Department, Chief Jimmy Ford, Wilmington Fire Department, Chief Al Hogel, Longwood County Police Department, Deputy Mike Hargrove, Pinellas County Sheriff's Department, Trooper Chelsea Richards, Florida Highway Patrol, Trooper Joe Bullock, Florida Highway Patrol, Trooper Zachary Ben, Florida Highway Patrol, Sergeant Chris Fitzgerald, Philadelphia Police Department, Sergeant Ramon Mendez, Philadelphia Police Department, Chief Corey Compantier, Buffalo Creek Fire Department, Deputy Brownie Ronadzinski, Manatee County Sheriff's Department, Patrolman Zachary Butterfield, Bradenton PD, Corporal Timothy O'Connor, Pennsylvania State Police, and Corporal Mike Pascio of the Pennsylvania State Police. My brothers and sisters, although you may be 10-7 at this point in time, sometime we'll be 10-10 at the table of the Lord. Until that time, may the rose rise up to meet you. May the winds be always at your back. May the rains fall softly on your fields and the sun shine lightly on your face. Until we meet again, may the good Lord keep you and your family always in the palm of his hand. A good night and have a great week. Good job, Brady.
What's up, brother?
Hey, I just want to let you know, good job.